Hey guys, so we're gonna hang out in my very messy kitchen because it is literally the only place that has good lighting right now. Um, I have a whole bunch of questions that I received last night, and I really appreciate it because I'm going to be able to make a ton of videos for you guys. Some of them are going to be specifically pagan or witchcraft related, and some of them are going to be a little bit more mundane about depression and anxiety and recovery. And I guess because of that, I really wanted to start off this video by saying that I am not a health professional. I did not major in psychology or anything. I actually majored in sociology. So I do have a pretty good grasp of socioeconomics and the different things that sort of perhaps go into the reasons why people become depressed or the reasons why people are unable to overcome depression and other mental illnesses. But I really advise you, if you believe that you have depression or you know someone who has depression or any other mental illness, that you see a professional first and that you do not take what I say as a form of treatment by any means. I can only tell you from my experience how things are going, particularly in the last 7 weeks since I decided to completely change my life and do a total 180 and do very intentional recovery. So I just want to get that out of the way first, and I want to address this question, and I wasn't sure if this person wanted me to use their name or not, so I'm not going to, but this person sent me an ask that essentially said that they did really like my video about the self-care and recovery sort of overview that I did, and they were asking if I knew anything about Anhedonia, and I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's how my doctor says it to me, and I've only heard it a couple times. But it is essentially the loss of motivation to do things, or the loss of the love of hobbies or activities that you used to do, that is usually brought on by depression, but it can also be a symptom of other mental illnesses. And so they went on to say that a lot of the self-care that we talk about has to do with addressing trauma, impending relapses, or negative self-talk, but there's really no one talking about motivation. And so, first of all, I am going to pose this to the rest of my followers. If you have struggled with a lack of motivation or a lack of love for the things that you used to be able to do because of depression or other mental illness, please inbox me at Tumblr. I am Hedge-Walker on Tumblr, and or you can even comment here, and I'll make sure that those comments are seen by this person who messaged me. So I can only talk from where I'm coming from, and I can tell you that that has been one of my biggest symptoms with dealing with depression. And I honestly wasn't, even though I knew that it was a symptom of depression, I guess I didn't really make the connection between what I was experiencing and that particular symptom with depression until I did get a diagnosis, and I sat down and I sort of worked through some things and was able to put labels to things so that I was able to start recovery. The things that I sort of lost interest in were things like cooking, school, and studying. I ended up dropping out of college. Writing, I used to write novellas and novels probably since the time I was 10 or 11. Nothing like, Pulitzer worthy or anything, but it was something that was a hobby of mine, and I certainly lost interest in doing that. I used to paint a lot. I used to enjoy camping and hiking. I used to love going out with friends. I guess this is kind of a TMI, but I'm going to go ahead and share at least a little bit of it. My sex drive completely was gone, and just the idea of having sex was just really, not interesting to me. So, the things that I've done in the past 7 weeks to work on this issue have been sort of intense and very intentional, and it's a lot of holding yourself to it. I think that some people would say that, well, if you just don't enjoy doing those things anymore, just don't do them. But obviously, there's this sense of longing, or this sense of homesickness almost that comes with it, the sense of you've lost a piece of yourself, because you know that somewhere under the illness there is a you that really wants to do those things. And so I did a couple things. The first thing I did was I talked to my partner about it pretty extensively, all aspects of it, and essentially told him that I wanted to start doing these things as a study. And I sort of threw myself back into my interests, not as a hobbyist, but as a student. And so when I was able to create measurable goals for doing these things, it became a lot easier to track my progress. So just as an example, one thing that we do is I brew beer, and I haven't really been very much into it in the past couple of, I wouldn't say the past couple of months, but just recently I started telling myself, okay, like I need to have X number of demijohns or 5-gallon carboys full at all times. And so I began to approach brewing beer the same way that someone might approach studying something in college. You know, I would sit down and say, okay, I'm going to research this for 20 minutes. I'm going to look at these pictures for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to journal about it for 15 minutes. Okay, we're going to set a date, a brew date, and I would tell my boyfriend, this is the date we're going to do it, and he would hold me to that. The same thing with drawing. Loki's Gift and others, Hemlock and Horn and Exploding Popsicles all know that I am drawing for 30 minutes a day, and that, I mean, that is not like I'm giving myself 30 minutes a day to draw. That is, I am going to sit down and sketch something, I don't care how crappy it looks, for 30 minutes a day. So eventually these things are coming easier, and I'm becoming very proud of my accomplishments, and I'm actually finding that I enjoy these things again. And in many cases it really is a journey of rediscovering the things that you enjoy. And I would say that my hedgecraft is one of those things that I am also working on very hard, because anyone who with depression knows that there are times when you can go days and weeks and then months without doing anything witchy, and it's really saddening, because it's such a huge part of recovery for so many witches to be able to participate in those things, and yet it's this cycle of, I can't do it because I'm depressed, but I want to do it because I'm depressed. And so forcing yourself and saying, okay, 3 p.m. is my time to do these things, and I have to do it for 1 hour, and it's painful and it's awful, and unless you have someone else holding you to doing those things, it's very easy to fall off the wagon again. But that has really been the only way that I've overcome it. And then obviously I think other things are helping too, like the writing and the journaling and the vlogging. I do have another YouTube channel that I don't really share with the Hedge-Walker side of things, because it is specifically about my recovery and weight loss and stuff, so I don't really want to share that. But if you really, really want to see it and you really want to know, you can certainly inbox me. But I hope that was helpful, and I hope I will send you, person who sent me this, a private message letting you know that this video is up. Again, if my followers have anything that they think would be helpful, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.